Dude, I've been stealing your content more than I care to admit.
I've been a member of you guys for a while, so I saw the video and I was getting hit up on Upwork and stuff and saying like, man, I saw your YouTube video. I was like, Solutions 8.
The stuff that you put out is rock solid.
Thank you.
Just amazing. Really, like it's crazy, but the amount, and it's actionable. It's real, meaty,
Right.
Specific. Well, you're a prolific content creator, but I also think you're an idiot. Like,
Reach out to your reps about betas.
I ignore the Google reps like they're my in-laws.
Try to get ahead of the curve, like with PMax. Don't wait 3 months until it's gone. Start testing it now. It's the cheapest it's ever been. Now's the
Cheapest
time
it
to
will
get on
ever
board.
be.
Ever,
It's only ever gonna get more expensive. That's
Exactly.
the way these things work. Hello and welcome to your Daily Google News. I'm Kasim, and this is Cory. Cory, how do I say your last name? Lindholm?
Lindholm. It's Swedish. Yep.
Awesome. Have you been to Switzerland?
Not yet. I'm actually going in September though.
All right, dude, my wife and I we were gonna go and COVID killed the dream. What are you going for?
Yeah, that happened to me in 2020. I was all ready to go, and then COVID came along. So I'm a digital nomad, so I'm one of those weird guys that is constantly in a new place and just loving the lifestyle. So yeah, I'll be traveling there for about a month or two.
So we have some close friends from there, and what they told us is there's German Swiss, French Swiss, and then Italian Swiss, and you have to like pick. It's like a gang war, and you have to decide like
Right.
whose side you're going to be on. So where are you going?
Well, it depends on where the good beer is. That's going to be one determinant for sure.
Okay,
'Cause
that's
I know
probably
that
the German Swiss. If
Yeah, I
I'm
was
just
gonna say-
stereotyping. Yeah.
You're probably right. No, I'm just gonna, I'm one of these guys that like to not have too many like structured plans when I'm traveling. I like to kind of feel it out. I feel like you get a better vibe of the culture and stuff. So that's the digital nomad of me, the geeky Tim Ferriss side of me. But yeah, man, I'm looking to fill it out. I'm gonna be in the major cities, and then I'm gonna head down more south towards Italy and Spain after that.
That's very cool, man. Good for you.
Thank you.
The Swiss are a whole nation of preppers.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Like they have enough nuclear bunkers to house their entire population plus an additional 20%. They all have automatic weapons under their bed and trained to use them. They've got I've done like intense amounts of research on this.
Sounds
the problem
like
is they don't have a golden visa program, so I can't get Swiss citizenship. Anyway, not
Anyway.
why we're here.
We
So
lost
first
half
of all,
the audience. Go
yeah,
ahead.
I know everybody's like, and they just got real creepy real quick. Dude, I've been stealing your content more than I care to admit, and not intentionally. I was telling you this before the call started. My team has a thread in Slack where we just like drop cool stuff that we learn, and usually it comes from a lot of different sources. But your LinkedIn feed, it got shot up a couple of times, and I was starting to shoot videos around it. Then I started to feel guilty. So I don't remember, how did I reach out to you, or did I just mention you on the channel?
You mentioned me on the video, and I've been a member of you guys for a while, so I saw the video and I was getting hit up on Upwork and stuff and saying like, man, I saw your YouTube video. I was like, Solutions 8, and sure enough, yeah, then I saw your video from that. Yeah,
That's super
great.
cool. So first thing, if you're watching this, you have to go follow Cory on LinkedIn, because, and I really mean this, like the stuff that you put out is rock solid.
Thank you.
Just amazing. Like, I don't know. I honestly don't know where you find the time.
Yeah, that
It's
is a
just-
trick.
Yeah, really. Like it's crazy, but the amount, and it's actionable. It's real meaty,
Right.
specific. So, whatever it is that you're doing, you're obviously doing it right. Really appreciate it. And I'm not going through the LinkedIn feed very well. It's showing a lot of stuff that you like. I want to show the stuff that you've created.
Yeah.
But somebody like go follow Cory now, because and you know what I really like, and this is going to sound so arrogant, I actually agree with what you have to say.
Right.
Like there's some thought leaders out there that are producing like an intense amount of content, but I'm well, you're a prolific content creator, but I also think you're an idiot. Like you're a super sharp cat, and you've figured out some things in PMax that we had to figure out the hard way too.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, I've stolen stuff from you, so I think you've got really solid thoughts and ideas. And because you've been a part of the channel, I want to put you on the spot.
Mhm.
Where am I wrong? Like, where are my knowledge gaps? If somebody's been, watching, listening, paying attention to us, where would you say like, hey, Solutions 8 is great, fine, pander, out of the way. Where do we suck? Like, what
Well,
are the things-
well, you don't suck anywhere. You guys are amazing. You have some great staff. But I will say, when you guys came out, I know John was pushing this too, and I talked to him on email about this as well. He was like, maximize conversions. And I was like,
Oh, yeah.
Man, I was
Learned that
really
the hard
worried
way.
about that. Was the learn of the hard way. I tried it too. I tested about 50-50 on my accounts, especially my multi-million accounts. Like I really wanted to push that. And it made sense logically, but Google Ads is not all logical, unfortunately. Right. And of course, a lot of that was just pushing those sort of lower AOV products. And that was kind of the most common complaint. I'm sure you guys saw it as well. And talk about long-term optimization, that becomes the trick is the client go, how do we push these bigger guys? I've got clients that, they've got multi-$1,000 products, and then they got those 50, 60 AOVs. How do we get all the 50, 60s to be optimized, but obviously how do we get those more expensive products sold? So that was the trick. That was the one big thing. I was like, they'll learn just like I did.
Learn the hard way. That's exactly what happened. We ran 2 sets of horses, right? And it was maximize conversion value, and all the maximize conversion campaigns, they all spiked quick. Right. And we were like, oh, well, obviously we'll go this way. But then, then afterwards you're like, well, now there's nowhere to go.
Right.
And we're sorry, we made a mistake, backpedal.
Exactly.
That's
really part
funny.
of the game, though. I mean, I've been in this long enough, when Google Ads was like that green, ugly thing, and like no one knew where to find search terms. Like I've been doing it a while, and that's always this. I mean, you have to fail fast. You have to try it. I'm just like John in the sense of just, you got to break it, man. You got to break it, figure it out. Don't just follow what Google tells you. Don't just follow what your guru tells you. Look at different people. Look at what guys out there in the field that are actually doing it, and not just putting out courses. What are they trying? Try it yourself. Test it in your own accounts. It's the only way to really succeed in this.
Dude, so we needed to cut everything that you just said down to like a soundbite and just play that on repeat for people, because there's the perpetual student. And for so many of them, I'm like, just go out and give it a shot. Yes. And here's what's really interesting is you're going to learn so much from that, so much more than you're going to learn from every guru and every course that you'll ever buy ever.
Absolutely.
So open up Google Ads, spend a little bit of money. I know it's nerve-wracking and terrifying.
Right.
You've got more of a bend towards e-com. That's correct, more or less?
Yeah, for sure. I've done it all, whether it's app only, all lead gen, giant B2B, enterprise software, whatever it is. But I lean definitely more towards e-com. It's where I find my sort of unique style. And honestly, that's just where Google Ads shows a lot of preference for features to things. So for me, it's all about like focusing on where I can get the most value for the client. And it sounds cliche, but that's really my thing. So for me, e-com, I can provide the most value. It doesn't require as much client sort of reciprocation, right? They don't have to constantly be cranking out new stuff.
You don't have to do any work.
Yeah. Write another article, please. We need something for gated content to get some first party data. And it's a big ask for a lot of clients out there. So ecom, I really love it. I found a lot of success there. Yep.
That's great. So I'm going to ask you for something that's a wild breach of etiquette, but give us all your secrets. Like, are the ecom clients watching this? What should they be doing? What are you excited about? What are the gold nuggets?
Well, I mean, that's pretty loaded, right? So, I mean, there's a lot that can be done. I think one piece of it is you got to find somebody that knows what they're doing. So usually when you hire them, you're thinking, this guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about, he or she. And, I think this agency knows what they're talking about. You got to give it that first month. I always say avoid those if you can. Try to avoid those guys who are trying to lock you in for year-long contracts. It's going to be dependent, but there's a reason they're doing that, right? I mean, most retention, I think the last report was something like 6 months.
It was 3 to 6 months.
3 to 6 months.
6 is high. 3 to 6 months from HubSpot.
There you go. And for me, mine's, I think at this plus side show was like 15 months, something like that. Like my guys, they stick with me. They love it. There you go. By 2 months. Yeah. It's nothing. So honestly, you got to be first off cognizant of who you're working with. You got to like them. You got to like the personality. I think that's a big piece. But as far as like golden nuggets, I mean, on one thing, the biggest thing that's really top of mind relevant, get on board with PMax, get on board with automation.
That was going to be my question. So you are all on PMax, right? Like
absolutely. I mean, look, Google's not giving us a choice. And I think the longer you fight that, I still get people going, hey, well, should I just stick with smart shopping as long as I can? It's like, why? I mean, it's already going away, and there's not going to
have all of your smart shopping campaigns upgraded.
Pretty much. Yeah. Well, the ones that I'm managing or that I kind of, if I consult and do an audit for, sometimes, I'll see people that are still doing that as best they can, which is basically just keeping PMax untouched, which is, I would not recommend that strategy, but get on board. I mean, look, if you've been doing this long enough, you realize you can't fight the machine, right? Google has, they're going after what they're going after. We as advertisers and business owners are going after what we're after. To recognize those differences and get on board with where Google's going, and then just figure out ways to break that and kind of rebuild and make it better. I see all the time, I see these giant e-com accounts that are like, look, I don't know where to scale. I don't know where the opportunities are. I want to bring you on. I know you've been doing this a long time. I get in the account, everything's on manual bidding. And it's like, there are hundreds of conversions, valuable conversions a month. And I'm going, well, I think we found the win here right away. It's not always the case, but it's things like that. trust it a little bit. I'm not saying just drink the Kool-Aid of Google and just do full broad match and, do automated bidding completely. There are exceptions to the rule as anything, but honestly, yeah, get on board, do the best that you can to recognize where Google is going as a company, and try to jump on board as an advertiser and try to get ahead of the curve. Like with PMax, don't wait 3 months until it's gone. Start testing it now. It's the cheapest it's ever been. Now's the
cheapest
time to
it will ever
board.
be. It's
Ever.
only ever going to get more expensive. That's the way
Exactly.
these things work. Yeah.
Yes. So be willing to fail, be willing to try it. It's like when Discover campaigns came out, a lot of businesses are like, well, what's the difference between display and that? I don't really see the value. And it's like, let's try it. And of course, the guys, we tried it, didn't always work for everybody, but you just got to try the new thing, try the beta. Reach out to your Google reps. If you don't have access to betas, you're not a premier partner, reach out to them regularly. Just, hey, look, is there any betas we can try out? It may not be a good fit for you, but just reach out, see what's available out there. I think that's a big thing that people are definitely missing.
And dude, there's a golden nugget right there. What you just said. I ignore the Google reps like they're my in-laws.
Yeah, me too, usually.
I will do anything to not be on the, and they've gotten sneaky. Like, it used to be that they would just email, and then they started to email and call. I've gotten hit up on LinkedIn and Messenger. Like I don't know how they're incentivized, but they're clearly incentivized to get in front of you. But I like what you're saying, because you're absolutely right. All the betas that we've ever had access. Now there's the low end Google reps that don't really work for Google. They work for like T-Tech or what, but then there's like the high end Google reps that get assigned to high spend accounts. All the betas we've ever had access to come from the Google reps.
Right.
So if you're watching this, there's a good reason to go cultivate a relationship with a Google rep. Don't take any of their advice. Dear God.
No, dear God, don't do that.
Yeah. That's really funny. So talk to me about the campaigns you run around PMax, because there's PMax, which, for us, PMax is center lane. It sounds like PMax is center lane for you.
Yeah.
But we do a lot on the prefaces. What are you doing on the prefaces, and in what context and why?
Yeah, it's interesting. So DSA seems to be the one that speaks to PMax the most.
They play nicely.
Right, they play really nicely. So that's a big opportunity if you've been running it a couple of weeks. It's, whether or not it's doing well or not, it's definitely worth a try. If you don't have the spend, that's where it gets tricky. If you don't have to spend to add on DSA, but look at other ways to find that. If it's Facebook ads, if it's Instagram ads, maybe you're throwing a little bit at Pinterest, try to allocate a little bit more to DSA. I find, 50-50 with broad match versus DSA. I like to test both of them, see what works better. But DSA, I generally find, at least in the e-com space, to work a lot better. Look, we're not going to think of every keyword. And as account managers or business owners trying to do this in your spare time, you don't have time to think of every search term that's ever going to come out and constantly be doing that analysis and checking SEMrush for new keywords. It's not the best use of your time. Utilize the automation, utilize the DSA. Don't just over focus on building more exact match keywords. That's not always the right strategy. So that's something I see kind of missed quite often. So DSA, watch those search terms, see how they interact with PMax. I'll see DSA do good for a while for certain search terms, and then PMax seems to steal it, which is what PMax kind of does,
right?
Which is great. And I heard your guys' strategy too on build a branded campaign if it's not in there, so it intentionally steals from it. I love that. Yeah, just take it, man. So it's, you got to do what works. So I like DSA. Obviously, branded goes well with it. You got to do, this is like my opinion, but I think honestly, you got to do display remarketing, if not YouTube remarketing. You got quality assets and you're willing to keep those videos refreshed. It's a good quality video, brand story, etc. Go ahead and try that as far as remarketing, and then get some display going as well. Again, if you have solid assets, if not, just get whatever you can do a little bit of display remarketing to help support PMax. PMax is not focused on remarketing like Smart Shopping is.
This is not a glitch. I'm interrupting the video you're watching because I need to remind you that I'm always looking for people to join our team. So if you're passionate about Google Ads and you want to work with the best Google Ads agency on the planet, please go to solate.com/apply. Speaking of working with the best Google Ads agency on the planet, if you're having trouble with Google Ads and you want professional help, that's what we do. You can go to solate.com, that's SOL8.com, to apply for your free, no obligation action plan. And if I've given you any level of value at all, maybe think about giving me a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel. That's how we juice the YouTube algorithm, so they actually know that I know what I'm talking about. If you have questions, comments, concerns, or confessions, hit me below in the comments. And now, back to your regularly scheduled program. Dude, you just gave a masterclass right there. I'm going to repeat what I heard. We're running PMax center lane. Alongside of that, you're going to run DSA, and that's going to be an exploratory campaign that you're using in order to find out where else you can expand, and not just necessarily in PMax, because you can use DSA to expand in other areas.
Right.
We're running display remarketing, YouTube remarketing, if applicable, if you have the assets, which I agree with, by the way, because video assets are tough. Then what else did you say? Oh, here's my question. Search. Google says, which is the beginning of all lies, right?
Yeah.
Google says that exact match search is prioritized over PMax, and then PMax seems to be prioritized over everything else. Have you seen PMax steal from exact match?
That is not true at all.
Dude, right? Why
proved that
lie to us
over and over again? That's what I'm saying. Like, I saw the documentation. I got the slides you guys got. No, that's not the case, man. I mean, you can just look at branded traffic and you can watch your branded search campaign compared to your PMax. It's not going to prioritize your exact match keywords. I would have loved that because it gives us a little bit of control in like the cross pollination across campaigns, but that does not seem to be the case. So I don't know if they're lying, but doesn't seem to be the case across all my accounts.
Yeah, it's just like I just feel abused. You know what I mean? I feel so abused by Google, and I just keep coming back to there's nowhere else to go. Yeah, it's I don't know. Every time they roll anything out, the thing that's really pissing me off, to be honest with you, is the fact that we don't have negatives. Yeah, because I know it exists, and you can ask your Google rep to add negative. Why not? Like and there's a button out there that would be like enable negatives for users. Why wouldn't? Why? I don't understand. Maybe I'll ask you. Like, why would Google hold that back? What's the point?
Well, I think Qasim. I know they don't want us to mess up their beautiful algorithms, right? So Google internally, right? If you listen to like Frederick Valles and guys like that who have worked inside of Google, it's all about like, let's not perfection get in the way of starting something. We have to remember that when we think about new Google features, new beta rollouts, these are engineer-minded technicians, right? These are guys that are putting out new features without making sure it's just right. They're going to just put it out there and see what happens. And that's not always going to be this perfect beta. So you got to consider that, because they are more the mindset of, let's get it out there. Let's get some data back, which is kind of like what we do as advertisers. And then we will optimize from there. But we can't go into these new things and expecting they're going to be great right away. There's going to be tons of features. We see the PMax, for example, being rolled out. I think there's over 100 that are coming. So this is a great example. But I think as far as a mindset, that's important. I know every Google rep I talk to is different. I've been just shut down over and over by some that we don't have that. We don't have negative keywords for PMax. Like, I literally just copied and pasted an email for other people. You said that's totally fine. I got it. I've even had one tell me that they can do placement exclusions, and then no other rep has ever told me that before. So I wonder, I don't know if it's always like they all have the same information. Doesn't seem to be the case.
I had a conversation with somebody about placement exclusions instead of PMax. I'm trying to remember who it was right now. It wasn't Fred. But I heard the exact same thing. Like, oh, placement exclusions are available. No, they're not.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
So, and I will say, just to tag on to like other opportunities, like where do you go outside of Google Ads? Super underrated. I know you guys mostly do Google Ads, but I imagine you might touch on some Microsoft ads. Super underrated for ecom. If you guys aren't hitting a little bit of Microsoft ads, even if it's just like autopilot importing, it's not how I'd recommend doing it, but just like have some bare minimum. There you go. If you can just do that, I mean, I have seen crazy results from Microsoft ads, and I'm not going to like die on the hill of saying Microsoft's going to like change your business overnight. It's not, but if it can get you an extra 20% of revenue, 100%. Because it's a certain demographic, it's people that it's usually an older demographic. It's people that are just using the browser that came pre-installed in their computers. You don't want to miss those people by not putting some advertisements out there. So if you're doing, generally pretty well on Google, don't miss that opportunity of expanding on a Microsoft ads and grabbing a few sales here and there. So
that's great advice, man. Yeah. So this is shameful to admit, but I'm just going to admit it because I'm an open door, more or less. I absolutely agree with you with Microsoft ads. You've heard me say this before. We had this insanely high performing real estate investment campaign account business for 7 years. I was in every major MSA. And what I never told anybody at the time, but what I'm going to say now is Microsoft was a huge chunk of that, because everybody was, like tooth and nail at Google. CPCs in Google could be $400 or $500. CPCs in Microsoft were like $8. It was it was unbelievable. Yeah. The reason we cut out Bing, it was just a process issue.
Yeah,
because I've got 200 clients, and so managing 2 different ecosystems, it's just near impossible. So I think Facebook is more viable than it's ever been because of iOS 14. It's like it's now actually relatively blue ocean. A lot of bullshitters got burned off. I think Bing is ultra. I think CTV, like there's a ton of really viable places to go for traffic. Yeah, but because I just have this monster like 200 clients is a monster agency. Yeah, 20, 30 clients is big. 200 clients is just like it's too big for me to. We're just on this great big Leviathan of a ship, and I've gotten super deep. But if you're a smaller agency, dude, I love it. I am really proud of it. If you're a smaller agency or a nimble freelancer, like you should absolutely be reaching out to other traffic channels because the influence is unbelievable.
Right. And as a freelancer, talk about upsell opportunities. I mean, look,
Oh
it's
yeah.
not just for you, like the client's going to benefit from it as well. And you're going to get some experimental data that you can then inform your Google Ads strategy. If you want to put 90% of your spend on Google, keep in mind, Bing's going to have different insights that are not going to be available in Google, whether that's the granularity of search terms that can kind of give you a heads up as to those hidden search terms that Google isn't showing you.
Right.
It's an extra place to find more insights. And yeah, I think for B2B companies, they have specific features that are just for them. It's not a bad idea to at least get some spend going on
Well,
there.
because Microsoft owns LinkedIn. So the B2B
Exactly.
integration with LinkedIn, the segmentation that Microsoft has from LinkedIn is actually really powerful.
Right. I have a theory. This is a theory, Cosmo. Okay, so bear with me. This is my conspiracy hat on a little bit. If I'm Microsoft, I'm
You're
trying
on
to
the
figure
right
out,
show, bro. This is what we do here.
So how do we steal some market share from Google Ads rather than just doing what we're doing now, just literally like copying whatever Google does? Now, they're trying to figure out how to do PMax. I don't know how they're going to do that, right? But I'm sure they're working on that like diligently. If I'm Microsoft, I'm thinking, okay, what are the biggest complaints you're hearing with PMax so far? For lead gen, it seems nearly impossible. We got to separate by 1 billion campaigns just to get data on those asset group levels. Could Microsoft come out and say, look, we've got sort of a, whatever they want to call it, PMax for Microsoft, but it's geared more towards a lead gen type of company. Why? Because that's where they can be unique. They already have so much more B2B data than Google has, I would imagine, just because of it's Microsoft and they own a lot of that data. I'm just spitballing, right? Like this is my thinking. They're going to probably start focusing more on that B2B space. I hope so, at least for the PMax side of those types of prospecting, top of funnel, awareness-based campaigns that are mixed in with bottom of funnel, essentially PMax. I would hope at least that Microsoft starts developing something more geared towards that. Because from my experience, Google does seem to focus a lot of their features and their algorithms to sort of go towards e-com, and it makes sense. It has more data and stuff like that. So it's my hope. I hope Microsoft starts kind of working towards that. I would imagine that's one way they could steal some market share because, I mean, Google, again, does not solely focus on lead gen. Microsoft does really well there, and I think it could be a market opportunity for them. But again, that I don't know that's going to happen. That's just my guess.
Dude, that is brilliant. What's interesting to me is, and I've never thought about this before, so you've planted the seed in my mind, but Microsoft owns the enterprise OS space.
Right, exactly.
Which means they're the source, they're the originator of all the traffic from an enterprise perspective. Why they don't, and maybe they do, I don't know, but it doesn't feel like they've made it available. And I've had quite a few enterprise B2B clients. Why they don't make that data, that targeting available? A, and then B, and I wonder this about Apple all the freaking time. Why don't they go native with their ads?
Right.
Why are we waiting before you enter the frame? Like, the backdrop of my desktop, Microsoft effectively, I have an Apple computer now because I'm shameful, but for a decade owned that, and like, I don't understand why they haven't seized more control over it. It's only a matter of time, I think, until Apple rolls out their own native inbuilt ad platform, independent of apps, browsers, whatever. Dude, what an amazing theory that is. I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah.
You're fun dude to listen to, Cory. You got a lot of really good ideas, man. So let's talk just real quick because I've only got 4 minutes left.
Oh, sure.
You're all up on LinkedIn. Now, Colin Schmelbeck, who I know you probably know. Yeah, he's Twitter famous. So I went and chased him because I'm just a looky-loo and try to be Twitter famous. Like, why LinkedIn? Do you get any traction on it? Is that worth doing?
So to me, when I think about it, because I started in Facebook ads forever ago, when it was starting to become a thing, it got me in the space of where is my audience? Like, I think you have to really over focus on user demographics, buyer profiles, whatever you want to call them. And for me, I said, well, who are the people I want to attract? And where are people having those conversations that are the ones I want to have, like super nerdy, maybe a little conspiratorial, it's not being sort of clouded by like the newest thing in hip hop or something. Like, don't get me wrong, I love hip hop, but like it can be distracting, right? Where is a place where business owners, business people are just talking about business and where it's not super welcome to have a lot of distractions? LinkedIn made a lot of sense for me. So I love that. Also, I just love the characters because I'm such a nerd at this, trying to stay at the cutting edge. I like to like make some pretty big posts. It's pretty tough to do that with the character count on Twitter. So I still post there, but LinkedIn gives me the space, and I think it's just the audience. And yeah, I get some good reception there. I love just being able to get some stuff out there to people and something they can use, things that are things you don't like that aren't obvious, sort of the non-obvious things you can really utilize. That's really my focus there.
That's great. So I'm going to include a link to your LinkedIn profile in the description of this video.
Cool.
Love to have you back if you're open to it.
Of course.
As we're learning more and PMax starts to settle, I think that there's just going to be so much to talk about. I'm really excited about it. Last words to you, brother. What are the parting words for our listeners and watchers?
Yeah, keep going, keep breaking things, guys. Like, just, break all the rules and build them back up, man. Like, keep pushing, keep trying new stuff. Don't avoid trying the new features. Reach out to your reps about betas. Yeah, guys, just keep being creative. Keep those creative hats. It's the only way we fight against the machines. We got to stay creative. So keep building those strategies and trying new stuff.
I want to promote more people like you. So if you're watching this, or if you know somebody like Cory who's super smart with Google Ads, I have zero fear of competition at this point, to be honest with you, just because there's so much business out there and we're overwhelmed. So go to solate.com/pitch, solate.com/pitch. I'll include a link to the description of the video, and pitch your idea at me. Would love to have you on the show. Cory, really appreciate you, brother. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure.
Awesome. We'll see you around.
Right,
until next time. Peace. Hey, just wanted to give a quick shout out to somebody that a member of my team found. So good job, Uncar, for pointing us in this direction. I don't know this dude, but I love him, and he looks to be like a really awesome resource. He's posting a bunch of really good stuff that's Google Ads related. It seems like really solid content.